Can you talk about the importance architecture plays having to do with religions around the world?
Architecture, like, religion and architecture. I really don't like to talk about religion because I subscribe to Gloria Steinem's description that it's just another another political party that you're not allowed to criticize, and that's my position. And when you walk by faith and not by sight, you're not able to see the collusion between the church and state. They always walk hand in hand, and it's there's no salvation unless you can see that, and in that way, it's a hopeless situation. If you can't let go of that, it's what enslaved you. And if you can't let go of that, it's a chains. You haven't been able to break the chains. I was a devout Christian, really believed it with all my heart. As a matter of fact, I was a prodigy in a Seventh-day Adventist church, and they had my career all planned out. And I saw what really went on. I was shocked when I saw what went on behind the scenes. And the things I wanted to do, they didn't. It was illegal for them, and damn, it's like it just was a box. And I had this vivid imagination, so I had to strike out on my own. And I rejected the whole thing. I'm a good person, and that's all I care. If there's a heaven or a hell, I will go to heaven. I'm not worried about that. When I found out that there's no hell in Judaism, it was a big deal because they're not afraid of the fires of hell. And so it's the fires of hell that keeps you in check. And if you want to police me, you better hire somebody and pay them well. I'm not going to do it voluntarily. So, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm a scientist, and it makes no sense whatsoever. And, I have to see proof before I will accept anything. And, if it's, and that's it. That's how I raise my children, and I'm happy about it, and they're happy about it. Architecture actually gives religion some sort of identity, the official identity. As you know, there was the Egyptians had their own architecture. The style, the orders of architecture, and the Greeks, the trabeated style, and the Romans, the arcuated style, and along came the Christians. And each conquering a nation takes the other architecture and turns it into decoration to put on their structure to show that they're an invalid now. There's a new order in town, and you don't count, but you're a vestige of the past. And it also, you don't have status till you have architecture. Architecture matters. And it works on a subliminal level. You don't know the building, the environment around shapes you. When you walk by that ugly building every day to go to work, there's no hope. When you walk by an inspiring building and it speaks to you and it makes you look and you enjoy it, that enriches your life. On your first introduction to society, it's their architecture that is the first impression. If you have none, you get no respect. And so there's no civic architecture. There's no celebration of civic pride. And so the Gothics had to settle for Romanesque. They never found their style until the Gothic, the pointed arch, and that is unique to Christianity. They finally have arrived. They have their own architecture. God is light, and Gothic is all about letting maximum light into the structure. and it means, actually, it's feminine because it really is about the Virgin Mary. And you go into a Catholic church, you'll see over it, nobody ever notices a vesica, which is a symbolic vagina, that is, and they talk about, well, how can someone get pregnant without, actually some kind of contact? And it's talking about God is light. So the thing about, how can you get impregnated? And so God passes through the glass up to solid. God can penetrate a solid, and glass is that solid. And he said, my God, light goes right through that glass. That's how you have the Immaculate Conception. That's how they explain the Immaculate Conception. That, and that was, that's what the Gothic cathedral does. When you walk into a Gothic cathedral, you're walking into a womb, actually, and a glimpse of what lies in the afterlife. You don't know it, but subliminally it registers. And that's what architecture does. When you walk through a space, a civic center, that's a courthouse, that's the post office. Even without a sign, it's the architecture that conveys that. When David and I talk about doing the structure at bamboo, and bamboo, the bamboo grove, it forms a pointed arch, and that has something to do with the Gothic cathedral too. But it gets too complex to go into it now. But the idea that instead of enclosure, this is what's happening. You see. And so the first thing that people who saw this said, "Oh, a cathedral," because of the pointed arch. That's the power of architecture. Just a form triggers religion, and from then on, it was called a cathedral, but it wasn't. I actually call it a pavilion.